It was early in the day during our Magic Kingdom visit when I was finally able to reserve a spot in the virtual queue for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We were put in one of the last boarding groups of the day, and I had a little faith that we would actually be able to ride. It was well into the afternoon and the ride was still working through the boarding party 40. We were assigned to group 135. To be honest, I wasn't exactly looking forward to this attraction. I was one of those Splash Mountain Forever type of people, so I was a little disgruntled that Disney would touch one of my favorite rides at the park. Well, a thunderstorm blew through and scared away some of the guests, which led to our group being called approximately 1 hour prior to closing. It was about 9:40 p.m. and we walked right onto the ride. To my surprise, I realized that Tiana's Bayou Adventure is basically the same thing as the original, just featuring some updated animatronics and better music. Dare I say it was slightly better than the original. Ironically, this made me feel a little disappointed. Why didn't Disney push the envelope far enough and make this attraction feel separate from the original? I started to wonder, am I a part of the problem? Complaining that a theme park is taking away our precious rides and replacing it with modern junk. In some ways, Disney heard our complaints and kept the soul of Splash Mountain intact, just injecting Tiana into the fold. Disney didn't want to completely ostracize their fanbase, so they kept the majority of the ride intact. Just like every industry, a theme park has to evolve to stay relevant, keep us engaged, which leads us to the main topic of today's video. Nostalgia is killing theme parks. Before we continue, please do me a favor and click on that like button. Newcomers to my channel that love roller coasters and theme parks, be sure you subscribe. Let's jump over to my home park of Kennywood, where a ton of its rides are wrapped up in childhood memories. You couldn't throw a rock in the park without striking one of Kennywood's beloved attractions. From their iconic roller coasters, classic flat rides, food stands, and even signage posted around the park, the place is littered with nostalgia, and for the most part, their fan base like it that way. Well, here lies the problem. Kennywood doesn't have a ton of land to develop, so building another major attraction will come at the cost of something else. When Skyrocket opened back in 2010, Kennywood had to remove their classic car ride called Turnpike. Almost a decade later, their log flume ride called Log Jammer was removed to make way for Steeler Country, which houses their tallest roller coaster, Steel Curtain. For the park to introduce another major addition, something else will be cut. The question is, what is eligible for removal and what would we consider untouchable? At the end of the 2020 season, Kennywood announced that 4 rides would be removed to make way for future endeavors. Of those 4 attractions, one of them was a one-of-a-kind ride called Kangaroo. Naturally, the local parkgoers were not too happy with this announcement, so it didn't take long for Kennywood to change course and say that Kangaroo would be receiving a refurbishment ready to open back up in 2022. Since this pivotal moment, I've watched Kennywood put more emphasis on their classic attractions, be it the refurbishment of the old mill, Kangaroo, or the Turtles. Kennywood was embracing its past to ensure that the park's soul would not be tarnished. Many of their iconic structures have received some much-needed TLC, and I would argue that Kennywood looks better than ever. In that sense, nostalgia saved Kennywood. You have to honor what you have before starting into something new. Unless you've been living under a rock, or I guess off of social media, you might have thought that the roller coasters have come to an end. And by that I'm referring to the announcement that Kingda Ka will be torn down to make way for something new. Yes, you did hear me right, Six Flags Entertainment is tearing down the current tallest roller coaster in the world to make way for something new. Oh, and I didn't even get to the best part. The park isn't just removing Kingda Ka, it's also taking along Green Lantern, a stand-up roller coaster, Zumanjaro, a record-breaking drop tower that's attached to Kingda Ka, Twister, a spinning flat ride, and their defunct Parachute Tower attraction. Rightfully so, many coaster enthusiasts are upset over this announcement. Kingda Ka was only 19 years old and served as one of the headlining attractions at Six Flags Great Adventure. Also, the park didn't broadcast the ride's removal, so when it closed for the season this year, it closed for good. Now, there were many rumors floating around telling everyone to get your last ride on Kingda Ka now before it's too late, but Our reach can only go so far. Most of the general public would rely on news from the park, which sadly never came. Alright, now back to my main premise of this video. Is nostalgia killing theme parks? My statement might give off the impression that I'm happy with the demise of Kingda Ka. Well, I wouldn't say that I'm happy about it, but I'm not shedding a tear either. The truth is, Kingda Ka was a maintenance nightmare. I hear this ride cost over $1 million a year to maintain. With its many downtimes and high operational costs, it only made sense to pull the plug on this coaster. Six Flags has already soft announced a new replacement, which, in their words, will be a record-breaking launch coaster. That phrase is rather ambiguous because launch coaster could refer to many different types of coasters, and being a record-breaking doesn't mean it has to be the tallest or fastest. At the end of the day, though, I would still agree that Six Flags made the right call. Sure, you have to honor the past, but you also need to learn to let go. If these attractions were preventing Six Flags Great Adventure from advancing forward, then I say it's time to part ways. Theme parks were never meant to stay constant, which is why the best ones continue to innovate. If Cedar Point never parted ways with Mean Streak, we wouldn't have Steel Vengeance, which continues to be ranked the best roller coaster on the planet. Islands of Adventure had to remove Dragon Challenge, which was a fantastic inverted roller coaster, but what replaced it took the park to the next level. Volcano the Blast Coaster at King's Dominion, it was a beloved ride, but it had its problems. Rapterra has yet to open, but I think it will make a reputable replacement. Bottom line, change is not always easy, but necessary. So to wrap this all up into a neat kind of bow, I really don't know, do I think nostalgia is killing theme parks? Not exactly. I think it's important for the longevity of a theme park, but at the same time, it can't become a crutch that holds back a theme park from innovating. So yes, sometimes we have to say goodbye to Kingda Ka, and other times we gotta hold on to the classics like Kangaroo. Well, thanks for listening to me ramble on for a bit. Until next time, this is X Screen Thrills.